right, hey everybody, welcome back to Wrestling Travels Lockdown Sessions, presented to you as always by our friends at True Heel Heat Podcast. If you need another wrestling podcast in your life, check out True Heel Heat. My guys out of New York, guys and girl, Chrissy Love is over there. Check them out. If you need two podcasts in your life, check out Wrestling Travels Podcast. As we're on to episode 11. But today, we are lucky enough, we are sharing our time with Dan the Dad. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. I'm happy to be part of lockdown sessions because we all need a little something to get us through this. So this will be cool.
Absolutely. And Dan, we started doing this in April, right at kind of the start of the quote unquote lockdown. I was trying to think of a way that I could help everybody out and at the same way get a chance to get to know people. So we want to get to know you. As you know, we're out of the UK where they're not doing any wrestling right now. So we're pretty lucky here in the States that we've gotten to do some live wrestling. And I know the fans in the UK have seen you at least twice now on two different Warrior shows. But how long have you been in the business, Dan?
Oh, I'm going on about 6 years now. So it's been a little bit, but obviously it's aged me quite a bit in the past couple of last year or so. So yeah, but I've been in wrestling and in the ring for about 6 years now.
All right. And where did you train? Who broke you in?
I was trained in St. Louis by Michael Elgin and Kyle O'Reilly. Both were in the area around 2014 doing some stuff. So yeah, that's who I was trained by, and just kind of got started with following them around Ring of Honor back in the day. So that's kind of where I was around when my first few months or years as I was starting to get broken and get around everybody. So that was pretty cool and definitely very, very beneficial to be around talent like that. So
Yeah, dragging around Ring of Honor around that time. I mean, there's a lot of talent, but that's kind of a prime talent time. Like it's almost like golden age, silver age.
Yeah, that was just to be around, Kyle and Adam Cole and Roddy and a ton of like awesome talent. Then that was very cool, and I definitely attribute it any success that I had is from being around guys like that when I was first starting out and learning from them.
Now, before you were I want to say you were a young Dan the Dad, but back in the day, when you first turned on the television and kind of got yourself kind of acclimated to this great sport of ours, like who first caught your eye, or who did you turn on the TV and see right away?
I don't know if I can pinpoint a specific time that I started watching wrestling because I had an older brother who was into it. I had my dad and my grandparents, and everybody just loved wrestling. My great grandpa was actually really big into the wrestling at the Chase, which is kind of the big St. Louis promotion back in like 70s and 80s. So he was one of the regulars there. He went to all those events and then kind of passed that down through, to me and my brother and then me down into my kids now. So clearly, but no, I can't remember a specific person or specific time. It was just always we were a big WCW house, so it was always like staying on the TV since I can remember. So that's I guess my earliest memories is watching him, but it's just always been around. It's just like some families had baseball and football and hockey, and then we had wrestling. It was just the sport that we always had on in the house. So.
That's awesome. And so growing up in St. Louis, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So Harley race. Do you have any Harley race stories? Did you get to meet him as a kid or anything? Or even as an adult, actually, because Harley's only been gone for a year.
Yeah, I wrestled a few times for his promotion out in Missouri here. Nothing much more than just shaking his hand and saying hello. I didn't necessarily get any good stories, but I certainly have heard a ton over the years of what a cool guy he was, and very grizzled, obviously, but he was always surrounded by a great group of people who took care of him, and he took care of all his family and his students and everybody. So Definitely miss him a lot. He was really cool, and I mean, beyond what he did just as a wrestler, just what he did, for the state, with his promotion and the wrestlers that he trained and everything. So yeah, he was a great guy.
Now, is his school still going on? Somebody's running it for him, right? One of his sons.
Yeah, I believe so. I can't confirm exactly if they're doing anything right now, but as far as I know, I think they're still rolling over there.
Kind of how my professional interviews go. I start going off on a tangent and go, shit. Uh, Speaking of, I do all my due diligence on Wikipedia and all that. Um, so we've seen you in person at Warrior Wrestling Travel. We're a proud sponsor of that organization. We got to see you on August 7th, Friday Night Lights. You were in the Spartan Stadium Scramble match with all kinds of great talent. But talk to me, had you wrestled in the past 6 months prior to that?
No, that was my first time back in a ring since I guess mid-March or so. So yeah, that was the first time. So it was interesting to get my feet wet again in a 10-man scramble, 10-person scramble, whatever, a bunch of people in and out of the ring and head on a swivel trying to figure out what's going on type of thing. But we're always up to the task. I mean, it's is what it is. I'll wrestle anybody, no matter where or when or how many people.
But
It was
what was
all
that? What was that feeling like, though? Because maybe I'll back. You know what? I'm not gonna. I'm gonna ask you this question and then I'm gonna backtrack. What was that feeling like after being, however many months we've been in this pandemic and never really knowing what's happening, and then all of a sudden there you are in front of at least 500 fans live. I mean, that had to be a great feeling, nerves or not. That had to be awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, Chicago has always been like really good to me. I mean, it's always been good to Dan the Dad when we started doing this whole thing. So I was glad to be able to have that first match back in the Chicago area, just because I felt like these people, they'll know me. I hope they'll remember me, and and remember that if I'm here, then we're all gonna have a fun time. So I feel, coming out, the reaction was there, and saw a lot of people, familiar faces out in the crowd, when it's just always good to see people after such a long time. So no, it was a lot of fun. The nerves were there, just obviously when you're not like in the swing of things, it gets to be a little bit difficult to kind of get your head right and get in there and be confident. But as soon as so it's just always Chicago for me. As soon as I'm through the curtain and getting their energy, like I love it. So it's like the perfect place to kind of be back doing some of these shows in front of them.
And I noticed both shows, as soon as you, like you said, out of that curtain with the coffee mug into dad mode, that crowd is into you. That's got to be a great feeling.
It is, and I mean that's just a big part of what I do now, is just making people happy and making sure they're having a good time. I think a lot of people go through a phase in their wrestling where you're kind of you might be wrestling for yourself a little bit. You might be trying to be this person that you wanted to be when you were a kid, but for me, I just kind of realized that everybody needs a dad, and coming through and being somebody who everyone can have fun with is a lot more important to me than anything at this point. So I'm glad that people can have a lot of fun with it, and I'm having fun, and we're gonna keep going.
Now, this might be one of these questions where I make it seem all philosophical, and the answer might just be simply no. But having this time off and this uncertain time we did, does that change anything, like with your attitude or with your position on wrestling, your mind frame, going out there that, hey, we didn't have this. I didn't know if we were going to have it back. Does that anything change with inside you, or just same old? If you know what I'm getting at, if it's because we were without it for 6 months, not knowing if we were going to come back to live crowds, does anything change in you as our audio is unstable?
I lost you a little bit there, but no, I don't think I don't think anything's really changed too much. I mean, we all obviously had a little bit of a layoff, had to get back into the swing of things, but I think it just comes down to, as a wrestler, if you're confident in yourself, if you've got a product that people want to see and that makes people happy, then your spot shouldn't be taken by anybody. So I didn't feel that there was any reason to be worried about something like that. So I think everything's cool, and if you're good enough and you should be in that spot, then it's always going to be safe, and everyone should feel confident that if that their spot should be safe, that they can still keep doing what they love to do, even if there's a little bit of a layoff. Because it's not just a layoff for you; it's a layoff for everybody. So you can't just act like you're you're the only one sitting at home, because a lot of people are. So it doesn't change too much.
So my backtrack question now is, during the time that we didn't have wrestling from mid-March to there, what did you do to try to keep yourself kind of in the zone, in the wrestling zone? Were you able to go to a gym workout? Did you have access to a ring?
Luckily for me, I've got my trusty adjustable Bowflex dumbbells in my basement, and that's really the only thing that I had to work out with. And so far, I've not even really been back to the gym too much yet, because there's a lot you can do with some up to 50-pound dumbbells. So that's what I've got to work with. But it's been a challenge to stay in shape and everything. But luckily, I got some space in the basement here to do that, and then access to a ring here in St. Louis. Before Friday Night Lights, I definitely went down to shake off some of the rust a little bit. But luckily, I don't think wasn't too rusty, didn't fall out of shape or anything. I think a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people come out of this quarantine period in phenomenal shape, and it's really cool to see everyone just like doing great things. Looking at like Ethan Page and Josh Alexander and everyone who's just like already were in good shape before, and then all of a sudden they come out and they're like monsters, and it's like super cool to see everybody just use the time to better yourself, because you couldn't really do anything else. You could have wallowed in self-pity, or get some weights and eat right and keep trying to stay sharp and stay fresh.
Warrior Wrestling Champion Brian Pillman was the one that I looked at on that August
Oh
7th, and
yeah.
I was like, shit, boy, didn't miss
He's,
a day out of the gym, man.
he said he was eating a lot of McChickens, so I believe it.
Yeah, man. I mean, the guy already looks good, and he looks better out of it. And then I kept up with her on, I don't know if you do, but Camille on NWA. I
Mhm.
watched her match last night. Now, I track her on social media, and I know obviously her history. She's a workout buff, but man, she's a freaking powerhouse. Like I
Mhm.
said, some people like me got fatter, and everybody else got freaking huge.
Yeah,
Um,
so that was a good for a lot of people to use that time. And when you got the time to work out and eat, you can make some really cool things happen. Sometimes when life gets in the way of that, but if you got a bunch of free time, you might as well pick up a weight or whatever. So if you're in wrestling, all good. If you're doing whatever makes you happy in this quarantine period, it's tough. So
Now, the Bowflex had to go up like 150% in value, because I know free weights over the Corona period were ridiculous if you wanted to buy them.
yeah, I could probably unload those for a cool grand, but they're pretty pretty invaluable right
They're
now.
handy, yeah. Now so November 12th, the last one, you had a match with Elena Black, which was the first intergender match that they had at Warrior. Somebody told me.
Mhm.
Fantastic match. You guys both looked great. But I want to talk to you about, we had a brief period of rain, and I don't know if you got a chance to watch the replay on Fight TV. Did you get a chance, excuse me, to watch Alex, Shelley, and TJP?
I didn't watch it back on the replay or anything. I did peek through the curtain to see what they were doing out there, because I was curious if they were slipping and sliding everywhere because of the rain or whatever. But I saw they had just sort of adjusted to wrestle more ground based, and just put on a look. It looked like it was a clinic in that style of wrestling. So I was very impressed by them being such professionals to do that, and still put on what I'm sure was a fantastic match. I would expect nothing less from those two. So yeah, I'm sure it was fantastic.
I loved it. I mean, I'm old school, so I loved it. But going into that match, I'm going, here's two guys that can go high flying. And then to watch them just ground game reversal, everything that they did
Mm-hmm.
was so impressive. And that's another guy, Alex Shelley. And I love TJP. He's been on the lockdown sessions. Awesome guy. But Alex Shelley, every time I see him at Warrior Wrestling, he just impresses me. I was at Warrior Wrestling 6, and him versus Austin Aries was like an instant classic in my head. And I know people were going, oh, it's Alex Shelley and Aries. I'm going to go get some popcorn. And I'm going, you got to be kidding me. But
I don't know who would think that, but
well,
that's
it
incredible.
was some people that no longer work with me, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, are you kidding me? It was right before, but it was awesome. And being 6 years into the business, you've got awesome trainers. You've got great shows like Warrior Wrestling. And I just said we're also sponsors of the Collective coming up in October. And I'd see your name mentioned in that as well. So you've gone from, hey, we've all stopped during this pandemic to Dan the Dad's a pretty busy guy now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I attribute that. I mean, and luckily I was able to find, fun little ways to interact with all the fans throughout, whether it's videos or on Twitter or whatever. So it was good to be able to, just keep being myself for everyone, even without a wrestling ring to do anything. And I think it's important for all of us it's one thing good to be a good wrestler, but if you can, show what you can do outside the ring too, that's a great way to connect with fans. So, I did come out of this, and maybe even in a better position than going in. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm lucky that I've got such great fans who've been able to who love seeing what I do and laugh along with me, just making dad jokes. So I'm looking forward to the Collective. I'll be on a few events there, but beyond that, I'm just excited what the future holds because there's really no sign of stopping for me or even the other guys like with Warhorse and Danhausen, FB and Alley Cat and all of us just kind of palling around and doing our thing and having a lot of fun.
Oh, it's awesome. It's so good to see, especially when we're coming out of the UK where there's nothing going on till maybe a little bit closer to Christmas. It's nice to be on the USA side of this. A couple more questions because I want to be respectful of your time. What would be the best piece of advice that you've received so far in your young career?
To be a dad and put on a dad hat and make jokes, but but beyond that, I think that was just great advice because I think as a wrestler, it's some people have just a bunch of charisma and they're super athletic and they can do backflips and do all these crazy things. I could never do those things. I got bad knees. I don't. I can't backflip or anything. But if you can't do those things, then just leave it to the pros and find what you are good at. And what I found I was good at was making people laugh and making people smile. So it's just one of those things where it's like it was some advice that sort of just snowballed into a complete change of mindset of again, like kind of said earlier, like instead of wrestling for myself and trying to be, the most badass dude out there, I'd rather do something that makes people smile. And that's all that's my only goal going out there, win or lose, is I hope everyone has a good time. So that was just great advice to be able just to lean in because the way it all happened was, Ethan Page saw me wearing dad hats and dressing like a dad anyway. So he's just like, why don't you just be yourself out there and be Dan the Dad? And I said, oh, that's crazy. Nobody wants to see that. And it turns out I was very wrong. So I'm glad I listened to him and some of the other advice from people who have been doing very well and really have great veterans around to point me in the right direction. So I'm definitely happy to have always had some good heads or surrounded by good heads like that.
It's always nice because a lot of times we can't see it. Somebody else is looking at you and go, hey, Here you go. Oh, bad interviewers leave their phones on. What? So we're a travel company, as you know. Wrestling Travel will take fans to their favorite events around the world. Business has been very slow, as you can tell, during the pandemic. But during your wrestling career right now, starting in St. Louis, what has been? We talked about Chicago. What have been some of the other cities that this great sport has taken you that you never thought you'd be in?
I've been all over the years, whether it's down to Texas, whether it's to the East Coast. Never wrestled in Florida. The coronavirus messed that up, but we'll get down there eventually. But I think my favorite spot to go outside of St. Louis or Chicago is up to Ontario, Canada, because that's kind of where Dan the Dad was born. That's where I was able to really start connecting with people. I was up at Alpha One Wrestling up in Hamilton, Ontario, and I miss it so much. I don't know when I'm going to be able to cross that border again. I understand what the situation is, but maybe next year. I can't wait to come back and see everybody there. I still hold the Zero Gravity Championship for Alpha One Wrestling, so I got to go get back up there and defend that thing. But that's the one place that holds like the super special place in my heart, is up the Great White North, I guess. And I just would really wish I could go back. Because going every month for a long time was great, and to not be able to see everybody up there, a lot of friends, a lot of the fans, and everybody up there is something I really miss. So hopefully before 2025, I don't.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Yeah, we spent a few weeks up in Canada last year around SummerSlam time, and boy, there's a lot of independent wrestling happening. We're right around Toronto, obviously, but a lot of great stuff going.
Tons of stuff around Toronto and the kind of the other towns that are like within that hour or two from there. So definitely love it up there.
Awesome. So my final question for you is this. So actually, my statement, I'm going to do a statement, then I'm going to ask you a final question. So for everybody watching, if you cannot get to a live event to see Dan the Dad, luckily, this week you can order on Fight TV, show number 2 in the Stadium Series. GCW, I know, is going to be on Fight TV. And Dan, I haven't looked too far into your schedule. Are you on the 3rd Stadium show for Warrior, or not sure yet?
No, and at this point I won't be. So you got to see me this Saturday, or else it might be a while. So definitely.
You got a huge. You're in another scramble match, right? You've got Beastman, who you were in with last time, Facade and Danny Moe, who I'm very familiar with on the East Coast. And there's 2 other guys that are new to the roster that their name escapes me. My apologies right now, unless you know them.
It was Jack Griffin and Icon Lee.
Right.
2 other ones. Yes.
Kind of making their main Warrior roster debuts. So we're looking forward to that. We should have great weather. So if you can't get out there in Chicago, please order on Fight TV. And GCW is kind of that first weekend in October, I believe. Going to be on Fight TV as well. You can tell how well I prepared for this part, but I was trying to push and try to avoid saying and as I realize I don't have the exact dates, we'll get them out there on this interview so people have a chance to check out Dan the Dad. But I always say my final question is my most important question. For the fans out there right now that want to follow your career, want to follow you, what you do, learn some dad jokes perhaps, what are your social medias that the fans can follow?
It's Thanks Dan the Dad on Twitter and Instagram. They're the same. And then if you're interested in any dad merch, whether it's t-shirts, I've got dad hats, I've got coffee mugs up on danthedad.bigcartel.com, and that'll go straight through me, no through any third parties or anything. So it's cool. You can just if you there's some page on there. You can contact me if you want. Send me an email, whatever. I love talking to people. Anything you want to talk about, just hit me up, give me a follow, and we'll communicate on the old interweb.
Dan the Dad, we want to thank you very much, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend in the scramble match at Warrior Wrestling. So thanks for Thanks for joining us, and we'll actually see you out there. So,
Yeah, thank you so much.